Story 1. When lava cakes first rolled out on the Domino's app, rather than selling them only in 2-packs as they do now, there was a drop-down pick list where you could select the specific number of cakes you wanted. For whatever reason, if you selected one cake only, it was added to your cart with no price, $0. You could then go into the cart and change the quantity of that $0 lava cake to whatever number you wanted. I was worried at first that I would get found out, so I would only order one. Then I got bold and ordered 2, and they came just as they do now, 2 in a pack. No charge. I decided to push it one time and ordered 8 lava cakes with just 2 medium pizzas. The total bill was $16. I thought for sure someone at the store would realize something was wrong sending out 2 pizzas and 8 cakes for $16. No, minimum wage employees just see the order and fill it. After that, I felt like the dawn of crunch cakes. If you wanted a crunch cake, you got one. I must have gotten hundreds of those things over the course of 3 to 4 months. Eventually, I knew it would come to an end. I was going to write to Domino's in hopes they would give me a gift card or something for exposing the glitch. But my girlfriend at the time told me not to blow my cover. She said they would just fix it and not give me anything, so I didn't. Less than a month later, they patched the problem, and I still regret not being the whistleblower and maybe getting some free pizza. As a totally random part of the story, years later I was helping my company develop their website, and I flew to Detroit to work directly with the developer. At lunch on the first day, we were talking shop, and the developer told me one of their claims to fame was developing the Domino's pizza tracker. I was like, wait, did you just do the tracker or the whole site? Turns out they did the whole site, the app, and the tracker. I mentioned my lava cake scheme, and the developer almost fell out of his chair. He said, I totally remember that issue and patching it. He was floored I had the inside scoop on that site glitch he assumed nobody knew about. Story 2. I used to bartend and had to pay for parking, either on the street, which was inconvenient since I had to add more time during my shift and often forgot, or in a paid parking lot. I found a parking garage that used a ticket machine when entering but required payment to a person upon exit. Most of the time, there was no one working late at night when I left, so I got free parking for a few years. Story 3. This loophole I learned from someone else on Reddit, but I will share it for those who may not know. If you have a Planet Fitness membership and cannot cancel it online, change your home gym to a random location in California. Then you can cancel it online. Story 4. When I was in high school, I accidentally found a soda machine that dispensed free grape soda. I hit the button randomly while passing by, and a grape soda came out. I did it again the next day just to see, and more free grape soda appeared. It must have been broken or some sort of strange glitch. For the entire school year, I would pass by, press the grape button on my way home, and get a free grape soda. I wasn't careless about it either. I kept it to myself. I wasn't about to ruin my free grape soda by telling everyone. Story 5. I was fired 2 weeks after the human resources manager was fired. They never canceled my health insurance. That was in 2001. Story 6. Dropbox free tier provided 5 gigabytes of storage and offered additional storage for referrals. I spent approximately $5 on Google advertisements containing my referral link. I maximized my account at 20 gigabytes, which I have not had to pay for in about 15 years. Story 7. I discovered and took advantage of a Bed Bath & Beyond birthday reward loophole. I created multiple Bed Bath & Beyond accounts, set the birthday to the next day, and received $5 birthday gift card rewards the following day. It was also possible to combine these rewards into one account, allowing me to accumulate about $600 to buy my mom expensive kitchen appliances. The Ninja Creamy and Ninja Smart Footy are great products that I use almost every day. Story 8. I used my college identification nearly until my 40s for discounts. A few years ago, a cashier at a local hardware store gave me a serious look that cut right to my soul, which made me stop using it. Story 9. I signed up for a free trial on Audible. When I went to cancel, it offered me a free credit to stay. I took the free credit, tried to cancel again, and was offered another free credit to stay. I received about 25 credits in one day before I decided to cancel officially. Story 10. I worked for an organization that ordered large amounts of groceries every week for their group activities from a major supermarket. There was a place to enter your loyalty card number, so I just used mine. Not only did I accumulate many points to use in shopping there, no one noticed it until about 5 years after I left. I wasn't a supermarket employee or other insider exploiting my employer. We were a completely unrelated business who bought from them. When I was tasked with setting up the account to purchase online, there was a form to fill out. My business didn't have a loyalty card and wasn't interested in getting one, so I just used mine. It was a set and forget type of thing. The supermarket also had, in addition to our business landline, my mobile number, and the delivery people would contact me directly if they had any problem at 6:30 a.m. when they brought the items. I don't really know if anyone ever noticed it or not. Probably either they changed their supplier or someone else taking care of the account put in their number instead. I tend towards the latter. They didn't ask for the points back because they hadn't been interested in them in the first place. For years, I also kept getting calls from various suppliers who somehow still had my mobile number. I kept redirecting them to the office and telling them I didn't work there anymore. It hasn't happened for a while now. Story 11. There used to be a glitch in my Domino's application that would give free extra cheese as long as you waited until it asked if you wanted it. If you added it yourself, it would charge you. It worked for a few years until I got a new phone. Story 12. Back in university when Windows 10 was new, they offered free licenses for students. They used a third-party website that did not have actual limits and even had a drop-down menu to select the number of licenses you wanted. I think I got 10 licenses that way, but if I wanted, I could have gotten hundreds. They were legitimate Windows 10 education license codes and not tied to any account. Story 13. When I worked at Petco, I gave people free treats. There was a $2 bag of sample treats with a coupon for $2 off your next large bag. One day, I accidentally scanned both the UPC and the coupon because they were side by side. I started doing that more often and gave away treats. Story 14. Back in the days when Groupon was new and real deals were available, I purchased one for a free sub from a big sandwich chain. The redemption process was to order your sandwich in line as usual, and at the payment point you held up your phone. The employee at the register would click the redeem button on your phone and then comp the sandwich. I would pull up the Groupon, turn off cellular data, and let the employee redeem the Groupon. As soon as they did so and I walked out with my food, I would uninstall and reinstall the Groupon app. This prevented it from simply relaying the redemption the next time data was available. I did this nearly every day until the Groupon expired, usually for a couple of weeks. I bought the Groupon every time it appeared, usually every other month. Probably over 100 free subs. Such times, the late 2000s. Story 15. In college, I was dating a girl who worked at the bookstore which had an automated teller machine. She texted me, informing me the automated teller machine was giving out $20 bills instead of $5 bills, so if you withdrew $15, it would give you $60. My friends, about 7 other people who found out, and I made quite a bit of money that day. I only made a few $100s because I was broke at the time and only had so much to withdraw. Some people were there for a long time, though. Everyone was very respectful about it. They would withdraw, get their $60, then move to the back of the line and do it again. There was no argument about hurrying up or anyone trying to withdraw twice. Just broke college kids living in harmony, stealing from a bank. It was beautiful. No one got in trouble. We were taking advantage of it for a while. The machine was completely cleaned out of $20 bills by the time the automated teller machine staff arrived. The girl I was dating said she heard them say it was well over $10,000. Story 16. Around 2008, the United States Mint was trying to encourage more people to use the new dollar coins. You could buy some via their website and they would ship them to you for free. Those purchases would earn you points on your credit card. I bought $10,000 worth of coins, then took those coins to the bank so I could pay my $10,000 bill. I would then buy another $10,000 and repeat. A few 100,000 air miles later, I am still using those free miles in 2024. They eventually closed the loophole, but some people with large lines of credit were able to get millions of free air miles. Story 17. When my son was in high school, he attended one connected to the community college. Starting in 10th grade, he could take college classes, so he chose courses whose credits counted toward both high school graduation and an associate degree. He also preferred accelerated 7-week courses. He graduated from high school with an associate degree and transferred 49 credits to his 4-year university. Story 18. I used to work at Staples many years ago. Every item we sold had a status. For example, a status stands for active, C status stands for clearance, and F status stands for final. When an item goes to F status, the price drops dramatically. For instance, a desk that was $250 would ring up for $8.50. Since it was no longer an active item, it was removed from display on the sales floor, so anything that did not sell would just sit in the back unnoticed. I used to run a report in our system constantly, listing everything our location had in stock under F status. At one time, about 1/3 of my furniture at home was F status items, and I paid probably $50 total for it all. I got my first digital single-lens reflex camera with lens for $250. The regular price was over $1,000. It was a great time to be alive. Story 19. In college, there were snack and soda machines with conveyor belts. The door used to pick up the item was a plastic flap that did not lock. If you bought something and held the door shut, the machine would return your money, and the item would remain on the belt. You could then buy something else or the same thing, and a second item would drop to the belt next to the prior purchase. Holding the door shut again would force the machine to return your money. You could do this as many times as you wanted, as long as all the items fit on the belt. Being a poor college student, when I realized this, I was able to get a few days' worth of drinks and snacks for the price of one. I recognize now that this is stealing, but at the time, I just thought, cool, I don't have to buy lunch tomorrow. Story 20. A telecommunications company in Australia had a $40 by 24-month contract for a phone worth around $1,100. However, when you canceled, they charged you 50% of the remaining contract price. This meant you could get a new phone for less than half price by signing the contract, receiving the phone, and paying the cancellation fee the next day. I got new phones for myself and my partner, but in the forums, some people were doing this for about 20 phones, then reselling them and making a decent profit. Story 21. About 10 years ago, there was a class action settlement against Restoration Hardware because they revealed one digit too many on credit card receipts. The settlement allowed claimants to receive 40% off everything for a one-time purchase. Several months later, I needed to buy a lot of furniture for my home and business and noticed they had a sale. The sale was 30 to 40% off everything for a very limited 3-day period, and the settlement voucher was still valid. I realized that the voucher did not specify it was limited to full-price items. The language simply said, off any purchase. I tried to buy one heavily discounted item. They said they didn't think the voucher could be combined with a sale price and thought the checkout system wouldn't allow it. However, it went through. Since it was a one-time use voucher, I canceled the transaction before payment, saying I would buy something else. I ended up purchasing $50,000 worth of furniture for just over $10,000. I bought beds that usually cost $5,000 for $1,800 and tables normally priced at $3,000 for under $1,000. I furnished my entire house and business with luxury Restoration Hardware furniture at about 80% off, then sold the extra items I didn't need for a good profit. I sold one of those beds alone for $3,500. By the time I sold the leftover furniture, I was only out about $7,000 for what would have been around $35,000 worth of furniture. Even if I sold the furniture now, 10 years later, for 1/3 of what I paid, I would still make a profit. Story 22. I received a hefty parking ticket of over $300 out of state. The officer recorded the correct license plate number, make, model, and color, but used an incorrect state abbreviation. I contested the ticket and won. Story 23. Parking in the financial district of my city is around $40 per day. There is a department store that offers free parking if you purchase something over $50. We used to make daily purchases for the free parking and return everything at the end of the week. We did this for more than 5 years before they changed the policy to a 3-hour parking limit. Story 24. This is not exactly a loophole, but more of an unknown exploit. In the United Kingdom, if you work for a large business, They have to spend 0.5% of the salary bill on the apprenticeship levy. They need to spend this money within 3 years, or it is forfeited to the government. One of the apprenticeships you can do is level 7. These are at the level of a master's degree. I received a £25,000 Master of Business Administration for free, paid by my employer with no strings attached. Story 25. When my brother and I lived together, he worked for a large chain restaurant. They had a policy where if someone called in an order for pickup and did not pick it up by closing time, it was free game for the employees to take home. Occasionally, I would call in orders for pickup, never pick them up, and he would just take the food home for us. I am not proud of it. We were both very broke at the time, and most days it was the only food we could get. I am no longer broke, so whenever I buy food from this place, I make sure to leave a generous tip. I guess this is to thank the chain for keeping me alive, but mostly to ease my guilt. Story 26. I used to fish a lot. Walmart guaranteed their trolling motor batteries for 12 months to charge to, I think, 90%. So I bought 3 batteries for $125 each and kept the receipt. At month 11, I would go in to have them tested, and without fail, they would be in the 80% range. I would get new batteries with new 12-month warranties. That is how they wrote the policy. Finally, in year 6, they gave me new batteries with a 30-day warranty. But I got 7 years of new batteries and used the final 3 for 3 years. Story 27. I made 12 email addresses for spam, 1 for every month. Every month I get a free Auntie Anne's pretzel, a free Jersey Mike sub, and a free Sparrow slice. Story 28. In the early 2000s, many credit cards would mail you 0% balance transfer and cash advance checks for 6 to 18 months with a 3 to 5% fee. What was unusual compared to today was the fee was capped at $75 to $150. I took a bunch of these checks across different credit cards and borrowed $30,000 at 0% and used that money as a down payment to buy a condominium in Europe. The European bank for the mortgage could see the cash I transferred to Europe, but not the balances on my United States credit report. When the time period for the credit card loans ended, I transferred balances to other cards at 0% until eventually, I got tenants for the condominium, moved back to the United States, got a job, and paid off the $30,000. That condominium is now worth 375,000 euros or 415,000 United States dollars. That is how I, as a 20-something with no money, bought an apartment using a credit card. Story 29. I remember a coworker telling me about a loophole he found. There was a promotion with a bank where every transaction earned 5 reward points. He wrote a script that paid for all transactions in 1-cent increments, earning 5 points for each cent. For example, if he had a $100 bill, he would pay in 10,000 1-cent transactions and receive 50,000 points. They found out soon after but let him keep the points he accumulated. Story 30. Blockbuster ran an advertisement in a magazine about trading in 3 games for a new game priced at $59.99, excluding sports games. They had another coupon for a discount, but I forgot the amount. We used that special offer so many times that they ended up shutting it down at our local branch. Walmart stocked the aisles incorrectly one night. They left the 4 packs of Red Bull on the pallets and placed them under a sign showing a price of $4.99. My brother worked at Walmart and told us they would honor whatever pricing they advertised. We ended up with 120 Red Bulls for $25. Walmart also secured their DVD collections together instead of locking each individual box. We convinced the cashier to sell it to us for the price of 1 unit. Story 31. In college, when we wanted to go to concerts, we would buy 1 pit ticket and the rest were cheap general admission tickets. I would print out however many copies of the expensive one we needed. Everyone would use the cheap tickets to get into the venue, and then we would all separately enter and give them the paper ticket because they just took them at the entrance to the pit area and did not scan them. Story 32. I was broke and living in Reno for a short time. One of the casinos gave you a $10 chip if you cashed a check in the early 1990s. I cashed a $5 check, then used the $10 chip at the $5.99 breakfast buffet. I left a $2 tip. I passed my bank on my walk to work and deposited $6 back into my account. I did this most days before work. Story 33. I was leaving an abusive ex. and he had made me put our apartment only in my name. I was going to have to pay a lot of money to break the lease. Then I looked at it and realized he had put the wrong year for the lease ending. They had done the year before, so legally my lease was over and I had technically been month to month. The manager was very upset when I pointed this out, and that I did not have to pay any lease break fee or additional rent past my submitted move-out date. They tried to charge me for a lot of maintenance and cleaning fees afterward, but I had photo proof the place was in the exact condition I had rented it in. So they informed me I would never be able to rent any of their properties again, which was unreasonable. I have always been a really great tenant anywhere I have rented, and I was not going to let them do anything legally that could harm me. But that whole lease situation was a huge relief and very helpful during the worst time of my life. Story 34. An employer in the late 1990s had a shift differential. A second shift gave a 10% increase, and working a shift on the weekend gave an entire pay increase of 15%. They implemented a workforce management system that allowed employees to bid for schedules. With my seniority, I was able to get a Sunday through Thursday schedule from 1 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. I received a total salary increase of 25%, was able to sleep in, and had Friday and Saturday off. They later wanted to promote me and were upset when I turned down a 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday role that would have paid less. Story 35. In college, I discovered that if you reported your laundry card as lost, they would replace it and refund the balance. I lost my card every week for a whole semester and never paid for laundry again. Story 36. Years back, Pizza Hut had a 5-minute lunch special. Salad and personal pan pizza. They would put a timer on the table after ordering, and the meal was free if the pizza was not served in time. We went to eat about 15 minutes before the end of the special, and they did not get the pizza out in time. We both ate for free. We repeatedly ate at that time slot, and about half the time they could not get the pizzas out in 5 minutes. As a young couple, a free meal was significant. Story 37. It was a multi-step process, but it felt good. A local grocer had coupons for $1 off a 32-ounce Gatorade, branded by Gatorade, so they worked at multiple retailers. I clipped a bunch of them. Then I went to Walmart down the street and loaded my cart with as many Gatorades as I had coupons. At the register, the cashier was baffled that I was buying so many Gatorades because I was in high school. She scanned all my Gatorades, and the total was about $68. Then I had her apply a price match to Meijer's price, about 88 cents each, bringing the total down a bit. But it didn't stop there. Then I had her scan all of my coupons, deducting $1 for each Gatorade in my cart. The look on her face was hilarious as my total went lower and lower with each coupon scanned, eventually passing zero and showing a negative value. After ringing them all up, she got smug and said, "I bet you think you're pretty smart, getting all of these for free." I looked at the total on the screen, then at her and said, "Oh no, not free. I actually think I have some change coming back." Her jaw hit the floor as she called her manager and was told she had to shell out about $8 from the register and hand it to me. What a feeling that was. Story 38. It's pretty minor, but Fuddruckers Kids hamburger meal was less than half the price of the regular burger combo. I would just buy 2 kids' burgers and fries and end up with more food than if I had gotten the regular burger meal. And I would get 2 cookies. Story 39. Parking meters on the streets around my office did not check for funds on credit cards before accepting payment. I bought a reloadable credit card that does not require registration or activation and saved $40 a day in parking for well over a year. Story 40. When I was a struggling single mother, there was a well-known rewards program that ran a promotion where you would earn 3 points for every review posted on businesses listed in a business directory website. I wrote reviews nonstop for months, always gave 5 stars if it was a place I had not been, thinking the business owners would appreciate that. Whenever I visited a place, I wrote an honest review. I worked my way through the alphabet, and after a few months, I was able to buy my son a PlayStation for Christmas with the points. Story 41. When I was studying, I used to take the train home almost every weekend. There was a benefit with the first-class ticket that allowed you to rebook the train if you missed it within a 24-hour window after departure. I figured the only way they would know if I missed the train was if they scanned my ticket. So, I wore something that made me look like I belonged and pretended to be asleep when the conductor came to check tickets. This worked almost always. I had 2 tickets, one for each direction, which I rebooked to the next week. First class had single seating, free coffee, biscuits, orange juice, and water. It was usually almost empty and very quiet. The regular train was usually nearly full, but people did not want to pay 50% more for first class. I was woken up about 5 times during the 3 years I studied, and I paid about €320 for around 100 first-class trips on those trains. Eventually, they realized people were doing this, and the policy changed. It became an optional add-on to the ticket and had to be rebooked before departure. Story 42. One time in the Marines, I couldn't do another pull-up, and the drill instructor screamed, "Get your chin above the bar." I take things very literally, so I braced my leg on the side of the bar and arched my neck over. She was like, "Well, damn, that is what I said to do," and let me go. Story 43. A few years ago, Leafly sent out a gift code for $50 on a specific cannabidiol and tetrahydrocannabinol company's site. I realized that, rather than having a single-use code locked to your email or per IP address, computer, or location as they usually did, it generated a new code every time you clicked the link from the email. In other words, there was no restriction that the code had already been used. At that time, most of their products were under $50, and they offered free shipping on orders over $25. So over the next 3 months, I acquired thousands of dollars worth of gummies, oils, lotions, and other health and wellness products, all for the price of $0. Story 44. CVS and their original Extra Care Bucks program. We were broke college students. CVS would have glucose monitors on sale, and you would get 30 Extra Care Bucks when you purchased one. We found a printable coupon online to get the glucose monitor for free, and you still received the Extra Care Bucks. Once we had a lot of Extra Care Bucks, we would use $10 off $50 and $20 off $50 coupons from the CVS website along with the Extra Care Bucks. They would also stack, so you were getting $30 off $50. Additionally, if you bought other items with the Extra Care Bucks that had large Extra Care Bucks rewards, you could keep repeating the process. We made several trips to CVS and received $100 to $200 worth of groceries and other items each time. One employee questioned the stacking and combining of coupons and called their manager. The manager became irritated and said, "No, if the computer accepts it, it is fine." Story 45. My employer punishes each branch for overstock parts by charging a percentage of the value of parts sitting on a shelf back to the offending branch. Sometimes a machine is incorrectly diagnosed, parts are ordered, and then they sit longer than the return window due to a lack of mechanics to work on the machines. My boss would write off and throw away literally tens of thousands of dollars worth of brand new parts. After my first year, I decided to start taking some home and selling them on eBay. The worst year I ever did was about $8,000 in sales, and the best was about $28,000. Wouldn't bother with anything less than $100, and the highest individual sale was about $3,000. The average value of each sale was almost $450. I am addicted to the cha-ching sound the eBay app makes when you sell something. It's so awesome to just go on with your life and randomly hear cha-ching, and boom, an extra few $100s in my pocket. Zero overhead. I even used old boxes and tape from work to pack it up. Honestly, the biggest challenge is pricing the item right, because if I go too low, people think it's a scam, but too high, then they might as well buy directly from the dealer. Story 46. If you are in a flexible spending account plan through your employer, you have full access to the money you are scheduled to contribute to the plan for the entire year starting on day 1. For example, when I had LASIK surgery on January 15th, the plan paid the full $2,500 I had pledged to contribute for the whole year. Then I quit on February 1st and never had to pay any more toward the plan. Essentially, I received LASIK surgery at no cost. Your mileage may vary. Be sure to check your provider's plan documents for full details. Story 47. To be fair, I am not sure if this is considered a loophole or not, but I got the movie pass and used it to buy a ticket at AMC. Then, I would go into AMC to exchange it for another time slot. When they did that, the new ticket was eligible for a cash refund. I used to work right next to an AMC. I did that every day or every other day for at least 3 months. Story 48. Back in the day, the United Kingdom video game store game was running an online competition that had a prize every time, usually just a small coupon, but the top prize was an Xbox Kinect, which had just come out. There was a limit of 1 entry per email address per day, but you could enter up to 10 email addresses of friends as referrals with every entry. If they won, you would also win. Of course, each referral email could also enter 10 more referrals. I had my own email hosting and had every possible email address at this domain, 1 at, 2 at, etc., redirect to my main mailbox. I entered a few thousand times with a small helper script to automatically fill the referral email addresses. Over about a week of doing it on and off, I won the top prize of a Kinect. They did not let my referral email address also have a Kinect, so only 1 prize, not 2. This was before CAPTCHAs were widely used. This remains my biggest exploit, based on them assuming you do not have access to unlimited different email addresses. Story 49. I received an email promo code for a pre-made meal delivery service where 6 meals were only $7.99 delivered. The email was set up so that the link could be used repeatedly. My family, friends, and I used that emailed link for about 9 months, receiving meal packages every week and freezing the extras. My grocery bill had never been so low. Story 50. Weekly first-class flights for work. My company required us to book travel through a specific site that seemed to have unusually high rates. After some coworkers mentioned receiving random free upgrades to first class, I investigated. It turned out the website was booking coach tickets but charging first-class fares. Whenever you called the airline to change your seat, the system would move you to first class. I sent an email to the travel department, which was ignored, and ended up enjoying almost 40 first-class flights over the next 2 years. Story 51. 20 years ago, CVS had a glitch in their self-checkout kiosks where any coupon could apply to any product. The stock-keeping units did not need to match. I would get upwards of 95% off. That was a great summer. Story 52. I regularly buy tickets to sporting events in cheap seats. On the day of the event, I check the ticketing website for seats that have not sold. I find expensive seats that are still available 30 minutes before the event and just go sit there for free. It obviously depends on the venue, but it has worked many times for me. 1. Forget the ticketing website and their fees. 2. If someone is trying to sell a ticket and it has not sold 30 minutes before the event, they are not losing money because of me since it is unlikely to sell at that point. Story 53. JUUL Vapes had a starter pack for $60. A shop down the street from my house had them 50% off. Inside the $30 starter kit was a $50 survey offer. I bought 10 starter packs and made a couple $100. Little did I know these surveys would come every month, each time $50. I made thousands. Story 54. If you buy a mattress from Amazon, you can request a refund if you do not like it. Since it is so large, they will refund your money and let you keep the mattress. Go to a mattress store, find the mattress you absolutely love, then buy it on Amazon and initiate a return. Note: this can only be done once per Amazon account. Story 55. I bought a train ticket via an app for a trip from London to Manchester and applied the railcard discount. This cost me £70. On travel day, I told the front desk that I had accidentally applied the discount without having a railcard. I asked if I could pay the difference of the discounted amount. The original price was £100, the railcard price was £70, so I paid an extra £30 at the desk. I was then given a paper ticket to show the rail staff on the train, along with the original ticket on my phone. I would then request a refund to receive the £70 back, meaning I only spent £30 on a £100 trip. I did this a total of 3 times. Story 56. I went to university on an academic scholarship. Parking on campus was always difficult, with most students forced to park at the stadium and walk a decent distance. If you parked somewhere you were not supposed to, you would get a fine. Unpaid fines were rolled into next semester's tuition so that you could not register for class until you settled up. Once I realized that my scholarship reduced the tuition to 0, I spent the next few years parking wherever I wanted. Faculty spaces were the easiest. but 30-minute library spots, dorm residence, the grass, literally wherever I found that was close to where I wanted to be. I used the parking violation tickets as wallpaper in my bedroom like badges of honor, regularly building up hundreds, even thousands of dollars in fines. Every new semester, the balance was wiped clean, and I started at zero. Bonus loophole story. I waited tables while in college. The restaurant I worked at pushed their gift cards hard and offered a free $20 card for every $100 spent on them. I had my roommate buy them constantly, and I used them every time a customer paid cash. This was a while ago when people used a lot more cash than they do now. It was an easy way to pocket a couple $100 extra every week. Story 57. I have had a travel job since 2017. I choose the hotels where I stay and receive $70 per diem for food every day I am on the road. I only select hotels with free breakfast. In the mornings, I load 2 or 3 plates with food and take them back to my room. That is my lunch and dinner, and I get to keep the $70 per day. It adds up to almost an extra $1,500 per month and $18,000 per year. Story 58. When you need to cancel a hotel reservation but have already missed the window to cancel without penalty, extend the reservation as far as you can, then cancel. It works most of the time. Story 59. Over 1,000 years ago, nobody had smartphones. To get your parents to pick you up from the mall or elsewhere, you used a payphone to place a collect call. After the automated voice said, "State your name" at the tone, you didn't say your name but rather, "Mom, please pick us up at the mall." Like you were the person doing voiceovers for the Micro Machines commercials because you only had about 2 seconds to record your message. When the voice came back and said your collect call was declined, you knew Mom got the message and was bringing the station wagon for you and your friends. Story 60. Subway's Chicken Bacon Ranch is cheaper if you order a chicken breast sandwich, add bacon, and ranch instead of ordering it by its marketed name. Story 61. While working for Ford, the Mavericks were first coming out, and the market was overpaying for used cars in 2021. I would use my deferred payment plan to purchase them. I would drive these new cars for the first 3 to 6 months and put about 3,000 to 5,000 miles on them. After that, I would go to CarMax and CarVendi and sell the cars to them. I made about $5,000 to $8,000 on each one until the last one, where the market had completely shifted, and I lost $500 but got to drive the truck for 3 months. Story 62. This one is a bit complicated. There is a state income tax exemption in Oregon called the Amtrak law. If you work on certain jobs based out of Oregon, such as a truck driver in my case, where you work in multiple states doing safety-sensitive work, you only have to pay the income tax in the state you live in. I live in Washington State, and the company I drive for is based in Portland, Oregon. Washington State has no state income tax. However, I recently started working in the office at my job as a freight coordinator. I would now have to start paying Oregon state income tax, except I do not because every Friday morning I grab a load and drive it up to our cold storage facility 45 miles north of Portland, in Washington. It takes me about 2 hours round trip. Then I continue with my regular office duties. This is written in my job description as a regular part of my job duties, which keeps me exempt from paying Oregon state income tax. Story 63. Setting. A tiny arcade inside a Holiday Inn water park. My age, 8. I put $1 into a coin change machine, which promptly ate my dollar, so I pressed the cancel button. It gave me back a $1 coin and 3 quarters. I pressed it again, and more quarters and another $1 coin came out. This stopped working after that until I put the dollar coin back in, and once again that coin and 3 quarters fell out. I did this until I had about $8 before I thought I might get arrested. I hid the coins in my shoe, and that was the exploit. Story 64. Sonic, the fast food restaurant, used to have a coupon for a free Route 44 drink at the bottom of every receipt. No purchase necessary. I discovered that you could bring the receipt in, redeem the free drink, and when it was brought out, it came with a receipt that had the same coupon at the bottom to redeem next time for another Route 44 drink. With one purchase of a drink, I successfully supplied myself with drinks from Sonic for my entire time at college. They eventually changed the policy, and now the coupon requires the purchase of another item. Story 65. I owned a home in Georgia, United States, and heard that if I asked my insurance company to examine my roof for hail damage, there was a good chance I could get it replaced for free. It worked. I got a free roof and no increased insurance costs. Story 66. When I worked at Lane Bryant years ago, there were coupons based on how much you were spending, such as $25 off $75, $50 off $150, and so on. Not everyone received these by mail. If a customer was not difficult and generally kind, I would retrieve one from the trash and scan it to be nice. Story 67. The vending machine at work was broken. You could put in a quarter, it would count it, then drop it in the coin return. Most people did not seem to notice because they either used dollar bills or their cards. I tried to be good about it and would only grab something for free if I was having a rough day, on average about once or twice a week. It stayed like that for months until the boss's son found out about it and bought out the whole machine in one day. The person who owned the vending machine did not like that, and instead of fixing it or swapping it out, they just removed it. There is no longer a vending machine. Now we have to drive to the nearest gas station for snacks. Story 68. When McDonald's launched their smoothie in the early 2000s, the McDonald's near me had a brilliant idea. Put a coupon for a free smoothie in the student paper with a 1-year duration. College students, they reasoned, would never see any advantage to be had there. Oh, were they wrong? My roommates and I grabbed all the surplus papers we could find and cut out hundreds of those coupons. Worse, they were limited to 4 per visit with no purchase necessary. Going to a party? Park in the parking lot off McDonald's property and make independent visits for smoothies per visit until you have as many as you need for the party. Yes, I did this. I was not the only one. I was later told by someone who worked there that this coupon was costing them thousands of dollars per day and effectively bankrupted the local franchise. Story 69. We used to order pizza from a local place. A pepperoni pizza costs £7.50, but you could get a build-your-own pizza for £6 for the basic cheese and tomato, plus 50 pence per topping. So we would order that and add pepperoni for 50 pence, saving £1 every time. Story 70. When I was studying at university, the local burger place ran a promotion for $2 burgers. They did not have a barcode, so we used to print out pages and pages of the same coupon. Story 71. Not sure if this is still the case, but the Whole Foods hot bar used to price the hot bar foods by the pound and the soups by the cup volume. I ate a lot of soup for $8.49 or whatever it was. Story 72. For months, the free drink never disappeared on our Starbucks app. So each time we went, we got 2 drinks for the price of 1. Eventually, it disappeared for good and only appears with the correct amount of stars. However, we took advantage of it for a long time. Story 73. KFC had a policy that if you had a competitor's coupon, they would honor the price. A friend created a fake chicken outlet with 3 phony locations and no phone numbers that advertised a 5-piece meal deal for $4.99, including sides. He printed the coupons in a neighborhood paper, and we used them all the time to get cheap chicken. Story 74. There was a competition on a website that featured a bowling minigame. Whoever scored the most points won. The game was poorly executed. Every time you threw the bowling ball, the score would update only if you clicked OK. However, if you refreshed the page, your progress would reset. The game was simple. Click once to start the bowling ball moving back and forth. You had to click a second time when the ball was in the middle to knock down all the pins. I created a simple script that timed my clicks and refreshed the page while adjusting the timing between clicks. Then I refreshed and used timed clicks to win a t-shirt. Story 75. To improve employee fitness, the company I work for allows employees to claim the purchase of fitness equipment or gym memberships as expenses. After income tax, you receive about half the price you paid back. Meanwhile, my bank runs a customer loyalty program where doing business with them, such as having a credit card or putting money in your savings account, earns you points. These points can be exchanged for various items, including gift cards for a sporting equipment store. A few times a year, I go on a shopping spree at that store, pay for everything with gift cards, then claim the full price from my employer to get the money I did not actually spend back. Story 76. Years ago, after Circuit City went out of business, Brookstone offered 25% off your purchase if you redeemed a Circuit City gift card with any balance remaining. I did not have one but bought a nominal amount on eBay for cheap and got a massage chair. Not sure if it counts as a loophole because it was their promotion, but $5 to save $500. Story 77. I worked at a gas station attached to a grocery chain. For every liter of fuel, you would receive a cash coupon for the grocery store. I learned they did not properly track the coupons, which is surprising. I would ring in purchases of about $150 in fuel, generate the coupon, and then refund the purchase. The books balanced at the end of the day. As a broke student, this kept me fed for months. Story 78. Not so much a loophole, but my then-wife was doing laundry at our apartment complex. She bent over and bumped the dryer start button with her hip, and it started up. She eventually discovered you did not need to insert the laundry card to get it to work. This went on for several months, and neither of us told anyone, so I have no idea how widespread this information was. It was eventually fixed. Story 79. Way back in 2005, when the Xbox 360 was released, Mountain Dew had a contest called Every 10 Minutes. Every 10 minutes, participants could win an Xbox 360 by entering points earned from bottle caps into drawing windows. There was an option to receive a free code by submitting an email address. I used a catch-all email domain and received hundreds of codes. I entered them all within a single 10-minute window and had about a 50-50 chance to win. Needless to say, I won a free Xbox 360 at launch. Story 80. I was at a hotel bar that had a brewery representative there to advertise their beers and give away items to people drinking their beer. I had a pint glass and asked the bartender to pour me a sample of one of the representative's beers in my glass. I brought it over to their stand, said I liked their beer, and they gave me a free shirt. I still wear it 5 years later. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.